Anthropophobia, the fear of people. Imagine dreading every human interaction, conversations, social gatherings, even walking through a crowd. Anthropophobia isn't just shyness, it's a deep-seated fear of people in any situation. It often stems from trauma, bullying, or social anxiety disorders, leaving sufferers feeling isolated. Ironically, the fear of people can make it hard to seek help, creating a cycle of loneliness. Monophobia, the fear of being alone. Monophobia isn't just about feeling lonely, it's the sheer terror of being by yourself. Eating, sleeping, or even staying in a room alone can cause extreme anxiety. This fear often ties to dependency issues or traumatic experiences of abandonment. Unfortunately, it can make independence a scary prospect, leaving sufferers stuck in relationships or situations they'd otherwise avoid. Gynophobia, the fear of women. Gynophobia is the fear of women, often stemming from past trauma, negative experiences, or unresolved issues related to women, particularly mothers. This fear can cause intense anxiety in social situations, even if the woman is non-threatening. It's not just about romantic relationships, it's a generalized fear that can prevent sufferers from engaging with women in any context. Apophobia, the fear of bees. Bees are vital to ecosystems, but for apophobes, they're a source of terror. Whether it's the fear of being stung or the anxiety triggered by the buzzing sound, this phobia can make outdoor activities like picnics or gardening a stressful experience. For many, the fear is rooted in the unpredictable nature of bee behavior, as well as the potential pain and allergic reactions caused by stings. Glossophobia, the fear of public speaking. Standing in front of a crowd, palms sweaty, heart racing, and a cracking voice. The fear of public speaking is one of the most common phobias, affecting even the most confident individuals. For some, it's not just stage fright, it's outright terror. This fear often stems from fear of judgment or embarrassment. Fun fact, some people fear public speaking more than death. Gamophobia, the fear of commitment. Love may be in the air, but for gamophobes, it's suffocating. The fear of commitment isn't just about relationships. It can extend to jobs, decisions, or even responsibilities. Rooted in fear of failure or being trapped, gamophobia often keeps sufferers from forming meaningful connections. Ironically, their avoidance can lead to the loneliness they're trying to escape. Trypanophobia, the fear of needles, shots, blood draws, or anything remotely pointy. Trypanophobia can make medical visits a nightmare. It's more than just disliking needles. Sufferers might faint, cry, or even avoid crucial treatments because of their fear. For some, it's rooted in childhood trauma. It's the association of needles with pain. Hemophobia, the fear of blood. For those with hemophobia, even a paper cut can feel like a horror movie. This fear of blood often triggers fainting or extreme nausea, making medical visits a nightmare. Evolutionarily, it makes sense. Our ancestors who feared blood likely avoided dangerous situations, but in modern life, it can be a major inconvenience, especially during emergencies. Autophobia, the fear of abandonment. Autophobia is more than just a fear of being alone. It's the overwhelming dread of being abandoned by loved ones. It's often tied to past experiences of neglect or loss, making sufferers overly dependent on relationships. The fear can lead to anxiety, clinginess, or even sabotaging relationships out of paranoia. Aquaphobia, the fear of water. While most people enjoy a refreshing swim or a serene lake view, aquaphobes feel anything but calm. The fear of water can range from avoiding swimming pools to panicking near a glass of water, often tied to traumatic events like near drownings. Aquaphobia can be life-limiting, but it's manageable with therapy and exposure techniques. Aphanphosmphobia, the fear of intimacy. Love, hugs, and even handshakes can be terrifying for those with aphanphosmphobia. This isn't just about shying away from affection. It's a deep-seated fear of closeness, vulnerability, and physical contact. Often tied to past trauma, this phobia can make forming deep relationships challenging, leaving sufferers feeling isolated despite their fear of connection. Enochlophobia, the fear of crowds. If the thought of navigating a packed concert or bustling mall makes your skin crawl, you might relate to enochlophobia. Closely tied to agoraphobia, this fear stems from feeling overwhelmed, trapped, or unsafe in large groups. It's a common issue for introverts, but for enochlophobes, it's crippling enough to avoid public gatherings altogether. Alectorophobia, the fear of chickens. For those with electrophobia, it's definitely the latter. Even a chicken clucking or approaching can cause panic. This fear might stem from a childhood scare. Imagine being chased by a feisty rooster. While rare, it's a real struggle for sufferers, especially near farms or live poultry markets. Ornithophobia, the fear of birds. Not everyone sees birds as majestic creatures or backyard companions. For ornithophobes, they're terrifying feathered beasts. Some may fear specific species, like pigeons dive-bombing city streets or predatory hawks. This phobia often stems from a bad bird-related experience, like being pecked or swooped at. Arachnophobia, the fear of failure. Arachnophobia is the ultimate dream killer. This fear of failure is so intense, it stops people from even trying. Whether it's starting a new job, pursuing a passion, or taking a risk, sufferers would rather play it safe than risk embarrassment or defeat. Ironically, this fear of failure can cause failure by preventing personal growth and success. Arachnophobia, the fear of heights. Ever stood on the edge of a tall building and felt dizzy? That's a taste of arachnophobia. Unlike a healthy respect for gravity, arachnophobia can make climbing stairs or even looking out of a high window a harrowing experience. Causes range from a traumatic fall to oversensitive balance systems in the brain. Ophidiophobia, the fear of snakes. People with ophidiophobia experience severe anxiety and distress at the thought of encountering a snake, seeing images of snakes, or even talking about snakes. From an evolutionary perspective, the fear of snakes may have developed as a survival mechanism. Snakes, particularly venomous ones, posed a significant threat to early humans, so a natural aversion could have been advantageous. A traumatic encounter with a snake, especially during childhood, can trigger ophidiophobia. Arachnophobia, the fear of spiders. Imagine walking into a room, spotting a spider in the corner, and feeling your heart race as though it's plotting world domination. That's arachnophobia. Affecting 48% of women and 12% of men, it's one of the most prevalent fears globally. Evolutionary theory suggests we may fear spiders because historically, some could be venomous threats. Thanatophobia, the fear of death. Death is the ultimate unknown, so it's no wonder some people dread it. Thanatophobia doesn't just involve fearing their own death, but also worrying obsessively about losing loved ones. Even casual conversations about mortality can be a trigger. While this fear is natural in small doses, for some, it becomes an overwhelming obsession that clouds their ability to enjoy life. Carcinophobia, the fear of cancer. For those with carcinophobia, even a sneeze can spiral into fears of a life-threatening diagnosis. People with this phobia often go to extremes to avoid potential risks, sometimes refusing medical tests out of fear of hearing bad news. While staying healthy is great, living in constant dread of a disease can significantly impact mental well-being. Trypophobia, the fear of holes. Ever seen a honeycomb or lotus seed pod and felt inexplicably uneasy? That's trypophobia, the fear of clusters of small holes. While not officially recognized as a phobia, it's disturbingly common. Some experts suggest it's tied to our brain associating hole patterns with danger, like diseased skin or venomous creatures. Mysophobia, the fear of germs. Also known as germophobia, mysophobia can turn someone into a hand sanitizer's biggest fan. It's not just about cleanliness, it's an intense fear of contamination or illness, often linked to obsessive-compulsive disorder. Mysophobia can make daily life a challenge, from avoiding public restrooms to fearing a simple handshake. Aerophobia, the fear of flying. With 25 million Americans grounded by this fear, aerophobia is surprisingly common. It's not just about crashing. It can also stem from claustrophobia, or a fear of losing control. Even though flying is statistically safer than driving, for aerophobes, turbulence feels like a death sentence. On a brighter note, therapy and gradual exposure can help people take to the skies with less dread. Claustrophobia, the fear of small spaces. Elevators, MRI machines, or packed subway cars. These are a claustrophobe's nightmares. The fear of small, enclosed spaces can trigger a sense of suffocation or panic. Interestingly, this phobia might stem from early childhood experiences like being trapped or feeling confined. It's not just about tight spaces, it's about the fear of being stuck in them. Astrophobia, the fear of thunder and lightning. Thunderstorm rolling in? Astrophobes, also known as seranophobes, always dive under the covers. This fear isn't just about loud noises, it's tied to the unpredictability of storms. Fun fact, even animals like dogs and cats can have their version of astrophobia. Cynophobia, the fear of dogs. While most people see dogs as man's best friend, cynophobes see a potential predator, whether it's a yappy Chihuahua or a towering Great Dane. This fear often stems from childhood trauma, like being chased or bitten. Philophobia, the fear of love. For philophobes, love isn't a beautiful emotion, it's a terrifying one. This fear often stems from heartbreak, betrayal, or witnessing toxic relationships. The idea of vulnerability and emotional intimacy becomes unbearable, leading sufferers to avoid love altogether. Agoraphobia, the fear of open or crowded spaces. If you ever stepped into a busy mall or vast open field and felt paralyzed, overwhelmed, or desperate to flee, that's agoraphobia, and for some, it's severe enough that they avoid leaving home altogether. This phobia often ties into panic disorders, creating a cycle of fear and avoidance. Kumpunophobia, the fear of buttons. No, it's not a joke. Kumpunophobia is a real and perplexing fear of buttons. Whether it's the buttons on clothes, furniture, or even keychains, those with this phobia feel intense anxiety or disgust when near buttons. For some, the fear is so extreme that it interferes with everyday life, causing them to avoid wearing clothes with buttons or even sitting in certain chairs. Paraskevidocatria, the fear of Friday the 13th. For some, Friday the 13th is just another day of the week, but for those with paraskevidocatria, it's a day filled with dread. About 8% of Americans are affected by this superstitious fear. The origins of the phobia stem from a combination of the number 13 being considered unlucky and the superstition surrounding Friday as an ill-fated day. People with this phobia may avoid activities, work, or travel on this day to ward off bad luck. Somnophobia, the fear of sleep. Sleep is supposed to be a time for rest and rejuvenation, but for those with somnophobia, it's a terrifying prospect. The fear usually revolves around the unknown of what happens after falling asleep, whether it's nightmares, sleep paralysis, or simply the idea of losing control. This fear can lead to insomnia, creating a vicious cycle of sleepless nights and anxiety. Podophobia, the fear of feet. Feet may be an essential part of the body for most people, but for podophobes, they're a source of intense fear. Whether it's the sight of feet, touching them, or even thinking about them, the anxiety is real. This fear can make everyday activities like going to the beach or changing clothes difficult. Interestingly, some sufferers may even fear their own feet. Lepidopterophobia, the fear of butterflies. You might think of butterflies as delicate and beautiful creatures, but for those with lepidopterophobia, they're terrifying. This phobia extends to most winged insects, but butterflies, with their erratic flying patterns and delicate wings, tend to be the primary fear. It can be hard for sufferers to enjoy gardens, parks, or any space where these insects are common. Panophobia, the fear of everything. Imagine living in constant dread, always feeling like something terrible is going to happen. That's panophobia. It's not tied to any specific object or situation, but is a generalized fear that encompasses everything and anything. People with panophobia often experience anxiety about the future, health, and even daily activities. It's as if their mind is constantly on high alert, bracing for the worst. Gephyrophobia, the fear of bridges. Crossing a bridge can feel like an overwhelming task for those with gephyrophobia, whether it's the height, the idea of falling, or the fear of structural collapse. The mere thought of crossing any bridge, no matter how small, can cause extreme anxiety. This fear is often tied to past accidents or a general fear of heights. Entomophobia, the fear of insects. Entomophobia isn't just about hating bugs. It's an irrational, overwhelming fear. Whether it's a cockroach scurrying across the floor or a fly buzzing by, the sight of any insect triggers a massive panic response. This fear can lead to avoiding outdoor activities or living in spaces that minimize insect encounters. It's also often connected to acarophobia, the fear of mites or tiny insects. Triskaidekaphobia, the fear of the number 13. Superstition runs deep with triskaidekaphobia, the fear of the number 13. Whether it's avoiding the 13th floor, skipping Friday the 13th, or feeling uneasy when the number appears, this phobia reflects how deeply numbers can influence human behavior. Fun fact, many hotels and airlines omit the 13th floor or row to accommodate this widespread fear. Emetophobia, the fear of vomiting. For emetophobes, vomiting isn't just unpleasant, it's terrifying. The fear extends to witnessing others vomit, being near potential triggers, or losing control of their body. Often stemming from traumatic childhood incidents, this phobia can lead to obsessive behaviors like avoiding certain foods or public places, limiting their quality of life. Androphobia, the fear of men. Androphobia is an intense fear of men, often stemming from trauma, harassment, or negative encounters. While it's more commonly seen in younger females, it can affect anyone, making even casual interactions with men feel threatening. For sufferers, therapy can help distinguish between past experiences experiences and present realities, paving the way for healing. Phobophobia, the fear of fear. Imagine fearing the very act of being afraid. That's phobophobia. It's a self-perpetuating cycle. Worrying about fear triggers anxiety, which reinforces the fear itself. This phobia often accompanies generalized anxiety disorders, turning ordinary situations into potential fear-inducing nightmares. Globophobia, the fear of balloons. Balloons are symbols of celebration, but for globophobes, they're harbingers of doom. The sight, sound, or thought of balloons can trigger panic. This fear is often tied to the loud pop balloons make, which can be startling or traumatic. Birthday parties and celebrations? No fun for globophobes. They'll be hiding far away from the inflatables. Nyctophobia, the fear of darkness. Nyctophobia, common in children but also affecting adults, stems from our primal fear of the unknown. Darkness obscures potential dangers, sparking anxiety. While it's natural to feel uneasy in pitch black, nyctophobes take it further, avoiding nighttime activities or requiring constant lighting. Fun fact, this fear might explain why so many horror movies rely on dark settings. Ailurophobia, the fear of cats. Who could fear fluffy little cats? For ailurophobes, those cute creatures are stealthy predators waiting to pounce. Also called gatophobia, this fear often arises from bad experiences like being scratched or bitten. While cat lovers may find this phobia baffling, for sufferers, a feline encounter can feel like stepping into a horror movie. Metathesiophobia, the fear of change. Change is the only constant in life, but for metathesiophobes, it's the ultimate nightmare. Whether it's switching jobs, moving houses, or even rearranging furniture, change triggers anxiety and resistance. While many people find change uncomfortable, this phobia makes adaptation feel impossible. Ironically, avoiding change often leads to stagnation, the very thing sufferers fear. Achievemophobia, the fear of success. Wait, success is scary? For achievemophobes, yes. The fear of success often stems from anxiety about the pressure, attention, or responsibilities that come with achievement. Sufferers may subconsciously self-sabotage, choosing mediocrity over the stress of standing out. It's a fear that highlights how our minds can turn even positive outcomes into sources of dread. Theophobia, the fear of God. For theophobic individuals, religion isn't comforting. It's a source of intense anxiety. Whether it's fear of divine punishment, overwhelming guilt, or simply the concept of an all-powerful being, this phobia can make faith and worship terrifying. It's often tied to strict religious upbringings or traumatic spiritual experiences. Veophobia, the fear of driving. Veophobia isn't just about a bad case of road nerves. It's the inability to sit behind the wheel without panicking. Often triggered by past accidents or witnessing road tragedies, this fear can severely impact personal freedom and career opportunities. With therapy, veophobes can gradually regain confidence on the road. Bassophobia, the fear of falling. Bassophobia isn't limited to heights. Some sufferers refuse to walk, stand, or even leave bed out of fear they'll collapse. This phobia often results from injuries, medical conditions, or vertigo. It's not just about the physical act of falling. It's the psychological trauma tied to the thought. Xenophobia, the fear of the unknown. Xenophobia manifests as fear of anything foreign, from unfamiliar foods to different cultures. While it's often discussed in socio-political contexts, it's a personal phobia for many. It stems from fear of unpredictability and discomfort with change. Education and exposure are powerful tools to combat this fear, turning the unfamiliar into the known. Hippopotamonstrose squipedaliophobia, the fear of long words. Ooh. The irony. The fear of long words is encapsulated in one of the longest words in the dictionary. Imagine stumbling over a big word during a presentation and feeling paralyzed with dread. While it sounds like a joke, for some, it's linked to broader fears of embarrassment or intellectual inadequacy. Thank you for tuning in for today. If you enjoyed watching this video, drop a like and also check on my other videos that I created just for you. Don't forget to subscribe for more valuable content.